Aloha angels. Welcome to day 3 of Queenie Gets Evicted. I would like to talk about abuse, honestly. I would like to talk about my personal experience with abuse. Because where I'm at, what I've learned, what I can now see, shows me the abuse that was done to me in a whole new fucking perspective. And because I've lived for 37 years without seeing my own experience in this way, I want to share my experience so that anybody else who's been through something similar might be able to actually fucking recognize the depth of the truth of what they've been through. I'm freestyling this 100%, which I love. So bear with me. When I think of my childhood, for a long time, it would bring sadness. I had a very sad, lonely childhood. Never good enough. Typical people-pleasing, good girl syndrome. If I couldn't behave in an acceptable manner, then I wasn't accepted, let's say. This isn't something that I am thrilled to be doing. Not only is it unveiling parts of who I am for every motherfucker to project their projection onto, but because I'm not the only one involved in these situations, obviously I am implicating others into what I'm saying. My intentions are not to slander, to, what's the word I'm looking for, like completely taint someone else's image. That's the last fucking thing on my mind. Right? This ain't about them. This is about the victims, right? I'm going to use that fucking word. This is about people that have been used and abused, whether it be to their knowing or not. I'm going to talk about some of the abuse that I remember myself going through and what I think about it now. When I was a child, I was that child that, you know, if I was a toddler and I was brought to meet new people, I would like hide behind my mum's leg. I would be extremely shy and not social. I wasn't a social child. When I was born into domestic violence, into a mother that had me in hopes that I would be a boy so that my father could have the son that he wanted and fuck off, is what mother told me. Now, anyone who knows my mother and knows me would know that mother's not to be trusted, quite frankly. However, I don't remember when I was told this, right? But deep down, it affected me. And parts of my being and the fact that I'm a fucking woman, like, was made to feel wrong in one sense, right? It introduced guilt for simply being the gender that I am. Because the problem is, I was born into domestic violence. My mother wanted to provide a boy so that she could become safe. But she didn't provide that boy. I was a girl. And so what I've been told is that because of the fact I was a girl and my mother wanted a girl, there was no way she was going to give that daughter up. So she kept me. And I have a half brother that I grew up believing was my brother, my whole brother. It took us about 10 years to understand that we weren't full brother and sister. So anyway, I've encountered all sorts of abuse: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, you name it. When I was young, I was a genius child. I was a child that, if nurtured at the time, I would have exceeded so many boundaries. I still believe I have that makeup. But when I was younger, I was intelligent in a way that intimidated as well as aggravated my mother. In doing the best that I could to be a good daughter, it brought light to my mother's insecurities and to my mother's own shortcomings. Anyone who knows me, my mother, will probably understand why this is a bit challenging for me to kind of put forth. I don't want to ramble, I don't want to go on for days. But with all the bullshit surrounding this topic, I could very easily do so. I remember walking inside one day after being told to go and get some wood. Walking in the front door with an armload of fucking wood and just having my head slammed against the front door. I still don't know why that happened. I remember walking in the front door and getting a fucking massive kick up the ass. Don't know what that was for. When we would have our fingernails cut, mother used to push back our cuticles. You know, when your fingernails grow, naturally, the cuticle skin will grow on top of the nail. And I suppose, like, it's become habit or etiquette or whatever the fuck, that you would push that skin back to prevent the growth of skin over the nail. Well, mother used to do that for us with force. Brute force. If one is to push the nail into the cuticle bed of their fingernail, it causes a lot of pain. A lot of pain. So when it comes to fingernail cutting time, first, mother would do our cuticles. And during doing our cuticles, I used to think that she must have intentionally decided to cut our fingernails at a time when she needed to let off some steam. Because it was a fucking traumatic experience. Every time our fingernails were to be cut, we knew what was coming. Pain. And then being berated for being in pain. My brother used to bite his nails. And so when it came to nail cutting day, my brother didn't have any fucking nails to cut. Oh, look out. Look out. Mother's own words. Now we're going to veer off into the filth. Because if anyone knows anything about satanic rituals and practices, they understand that if one is to induce pain and then take, if one is to cause pain and then chop the child's finger fucking nails, that's a satanic ritual. Textbook. Glaring. Blatant. Obvious. My mother used to keep me in her phone under the label meow. She tells me it's because I always loved cats. No, that's bullshit. It's because you thought I was a catty bitch. Meow. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. I've later come to learn that there are certain gods, goddesses, entities, whatever, that worship or are in reference with the cat. If you know, you know. I was born on Halloween. I've had that many fucking Halloween parties, I can't stand them. I was conditioned to be a witch. So many witch parties, birthdays, what have you. The movies that were given to me to watch, the books that I read that were given to me, novels, Flowers in the Attic, My Sweet Audrina. There's another book about Lilith. I can't remember the title. But there's books that were given to me after I outread the public library that you just don't give to a fucking 10-year-old. You just don't. For a lot of years, myself and my friends used to be like, why the fuck would you give a 10-year-old that type of content, that kind of book? Well, now I know why. Because it's all part of the conditioning. I've been gaslit my whole life. I was naturally intelligent and competent. I was naturally, like I said, I was a child fucking genius. Academically, you couldn't beat me if I was committed. When it comes to sports, I would play rugby with the boys. I was fucking the only girl on the representative cricket. I excelled in athletics. I played every fucking sport under the sun. I was naturally intelligent academically. But all I remember is the many activities, sports, whatever, that I participated in, and no one ever being there in the crowd for me. I remember, I'm not sure if it's 1 or 2 netball games, a couple of ballet recitals, maybe 1 or 2 like end of year school productions where I was able to look out into the crowd and see someone familiar. At home I was never good enough, but in public, in one sense, I was my mother's child. Look how pretty my daughter is. Look how smart she is. Oh, she does this and she does that. But in the other arena, was my mother's personal, unconscious reacting to my being. Which, if we look at it bigger picture, the way I see it is like my being was an example as well as not a prize, as well as a just inevitable positive consequence, right? Of how facing one's own problems could have amounted, if that makes sense. It's like my mother was eternally jealous of me to the point where she would hurt me. Emotionally, physically, mentally, whatever the fuck. But if only she could see that I was a product of the accumulation of forces that existed within our own bloodline and lineage. I mean, my bloodline and my lineage is not my mother's, but I'm still a product of her. However, I was never seen that way. I was a reminder of every failure and every shortcoming my mother had, and of every like injustice that my mother suffered in her childhood. She claims to have done everything that she could for us in order to make our lives better than what hers was. But in that, we were condemned. It was kind of like, because mother made a better life for us, we had no choice but to shut the fuck up and be grateful. All the while absorbing her projections and being victim to her retaliation. I don't blame my mother for any of this, but she is accountable. No one can excuse her behaviour except God. And no one can make up for her behaviour except her with God. I'm not here to condemn my mother to fucking hell. Absolutely not. Knowledge is power. That's why I'm here. But in order to heal, we must confront the truth. And I'm just putting out this short message today to highlight a couple of things that have gone. This is not all. Just a few things that are at the forefront of my consciousness at the moment that highlight, I just want to say, a kind of satanic abuse. I mean, what is satanic abuse? What is abuse? Abuse is something that is counterintuitive, non-supportive of love and growth. It's death. Any actions that contribute to death, defilement, dysfunction, are satanic. We need to understand what that means so that we can understand where our actions and behaviours align and with what. This isn't something I'm happy to talk about, but it's the fucking truth. And the only way to heal is through truth. So, just a quick snippet. I know it's not a lot, but there's a reason I'm just putting out these couple of things today, because there's a few people that I know can benefit from hearing this. We mustn't have shame. Our fucking pain and our hurt is our power. We need to know that and realize it and act upon it. Because while we are suppressed and kept in the victim mindset and slave mentality, we are being, what's the word I'm looking for? We're being, like, our destiny is being stolen from us. And bullshit doesn't deserve to reign. Fuck that. I know that everyone on this planet wants love, connection, and happiness, satisfaction. We just need to understand that it's our actions and behaviours, our own actions and behaviours, that prevent us from that level of consciousness and therefore from that paradise. There's no shame in understanding the entirety of oneself. The shame is in not confronting who you are and in not correcting the toxic parts and aspects of who you are that infect nature. You are nature. You don't deserve to walk around diseased, so don't allow it. Use your discernment. Be knowledgeable, understand what abuse is in its entirety. Face it, let it go, and do better. You can't do better if you don't know better, but the minute you know better, you're fucking obliged to do better. Or you're just a cop-out. Don't be a cop-out. I'm a cop-out, don't get me wrong. We can all be fucking cop-outs. But when you know better, do better. You can't be expected to do better when you don't know. But when you do, there's no excuse. There's really not. Hurt people fucking hurt people, and nah. Fuck that. Fuck that. Don't repeat it. Don't do it. Name your pain. Understand abuse. Understand Satan. Understand what Satan is and what the fuck is integrity. I know the world can be confusing, trust me, but we're not going to find answers if we don't look. And in this dualistic nature, in the world of duality, every fucking up has a down. Every vice has a virtue, every virtue has a vice. If we experience this, we just need to look to the opposite of that in order to understand ourselves and find the middle. And it's all just about finding the middle. Temperance, balance, in order to find you. What is true, what is stable, and what can sustain. I didn't really sort of address a lot of what I thought I was going to, but I know that this can help people in finding the strength to be themselves and be brave and courageous. By the way, you can't spell courage without a little rage. And push forth and make your fucking presence known. Because fuck these slimy pieces of shit that have the spotlight. Fuck that off. Push your way forward through truth and acting in righteousness, which to me is just having a fucking heart and not being a shit cunt. And you will be guided, because nature can't live without people like you. People that are willing to see the truth, cut through the bullshit, and fucking pioneer their way forward. That is what's needed at this time. But in order to get there, we need to understand the bullshit, the conditioning, the abuse, the victim mindset, and what's gotten us to where we are now. So I suppose that's the meaning for my message, although I meant to highlight a bit more of like what satanic abuse is, because I've become so much more aware to it in the last week or two. I'm happy with this message, and it's kind of changed my trajectory in what I wanted to put out this week, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the pain, I'm grateful for the hurt, I'm grateful for the shame, because it helps me know where to go. By knowing not where to go, we know where to go. By knowing what we don't want, we know what we want. So just get clear on that. Get clear on what abuse is, and get clear on what love is. I think that's the aim of my game today. So I'll leave it there, darlings. I love you. You're beautiful. You are appreciated, and you're so needed. So keep shining. Fuck off the bullshit. Know what bullshit is and fuck it off. Bullshit be gone. Bless you, angels. Love you. Have a beautiful day.